In my first episode of Built to Bless, I showed you what hope looks like. A new Habitat for Humanity home that a family was able to purchase affordably through Southern Crescent Habitat for Humanity. But the question remains, why is housing so expensive? Well, here at Built to Bless, we are here to sort it out. Real talk, real people, real solutions, powered by purpose. Come on, let's talk about housing. Welcome to Built to Bless. I'm Cynthia Jenkins, and around here, we believe that every nail, every neighbor, and every act of service is blessing in motion. So let's jump in and see how we're building and blessing today. Built to Bless is where we have honest conversations about the challenges families face and how faith, policy, and people come together to build hope. Housing today is more expensive than it's ever been. More than 37 million households, that's nearly 1/3 of American families, spend over 30% of their income just to keep a roof over their head. And even if you can afford that roof, there might not be a home available. You see, the U.S. is short more than 1 million homes, the steepest shortage in decades. In the mid-1970s, families in the Atlanta metro area could buy a home for about $45,000, while average household income was around $10,000. If those numbers only rose with inflation, that same house today would cost about $270,000, and the typical income would be about $60,000. But that is not what's happened. The median home in Metro Atlanta now costs about $415,000, while the median household income is around $89,000. In many communities, you can't even build a modest starter home anymore. Zoning requires larger lots and higher standards, adding cost at every step. So yes, incomes have risen since the 1970s, but housing costs have climbed much faster, outpacing what families can afford. In the 1970s, homes typically cost about 3 times a family's income. Today, that number is closer to 5 times, putting ownership further out of reach for many families. It's tempting to blame one thing, inflation, mortgage rates, landlords, or even zoning laws. But the truth is, housing costs rise because of dozens of interconnected pressures that compound over time, and most fit into about 6 big buckets that explain where housing costs come from. So here they are. 1, economic and financial forces. That's inflation, stagnant wages, rate swings. 2, supply constraints, limited new construction, higher material and labor costs. 3, demand pressures. That's population growth, smaller households, people living longer. 4, geography and policy. That's zoning limits, climate migration, lack of infrastructure. 5, market dynamics. That's bidding wars, investor purchases, locked in low mortgage rates. And then 6, barriers to affordability, process delays, NIMBYism, and underfunded solutions. Over the next several episodes, we'll go deeper into these factors to show how each one affects affordability and how we can work towards real solutions. Even with all of these challenges, families are still finding hope. Since 1986, Southern Crescent Habitat for Humanity has partnered with hardworking people across our region to make homeownership possible. They are our bus drivers, airport workers, manufacturing employees, librarians, healthcare professionals, retail associates, and court employees, just to name a few. These are the people who keep our communities running. And even when the market said impossible, they worked, they built, and they believed, proving that faith and determination still build homes. This isn't just about houses. It's about the ripple effects across every part of our community. Housing isn't just a personal matter, it is a public one. When families have safe, stable homes, kids do better in school. Employees stay longer at their jobs. Neighborhoods become safer and stronger. Entire cities thrive. Affordable housing benefits every single one of us. Here's something you don't hear in every housing discussion. Simply put, I believe housing is holy work. In 1 Peter 4:10, it says, each of you should use whatever gifts you have received to serve others. And that's what Built to Bless is really about, is using our gifts to build community, create opportunity, and bless others in the process. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by housing costs, wondered what's really behind the headlines, or wanted to know, how do I help? Then you're in the right place. Subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. Share this with someone who really needs to hear it. And tell us in the comments what's one housing issue you want to understand better, or who has been a blessing in your journey to home. Let's build this conversation together, because we're all built to bless. Southern Crescent Habitat for Humanity is celebrating 40 years of building homes, communities, and hope in 2026. Here's a sneak peek at what's coming next year. We invite you to become part of our story, one where hope has an address.